63, climb maintain 13 down.
13,000, Tempo 63.
63, contact the New York Center, 128.3.
28-3, Tempo 63, good day.
On Approach is a flight sim and aviation enthusiast podcast featuring the week's top user-submitted stories and news. On the skylounge.tv, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 88. Did I do that right? Do I have audio from the co-hosts?
Yeah, you
Probably
do.
Another successful live stream beginning. It's so complicated.
I think I'm here. Am I here? I'm here.
It really is complicated to do this live. It is. Jeffrey J says, is it Friday yet? No, sir, it is not. It is Sunday night. But where Sparky is, it's Monday morning.
It's Monday. Monday bloody morning.
Early Monday morning where Sparky is. I do want to put Mr. Sparks under the spotlight. There was a comment left for you on episode 87 about Liverpool. Did you catch that?
I did not, no. No, I think I did. Did I respond to it? I can't remember.
Go have a peek.
I bet you not.
Go have a peek, and let's find out what's up with Kevin while you look that up.
The website's down, though, isn't it?
No, on YouTube. You got a YouTube comment.
It's on you. Oh, yeah, it's on the YouTube
on 87.
Comments. Hold on.
About Liverpool.
I have to go back to 87.
What are you eating, Mr. Kevin?
86,
Twizzlers.
87.
I try not to eat during the live cast.
Right.
Well, actually, no, I'm lying. I'm not even trying not to eat during the live cast. But gets people mad.
It does.
I don't see it.
We got a lot of heat about one time when you were eating on the live cast, but you had some McDonald's, right?
Yeah. I don't have McDonald's now. I might go get some later, though.
Some nuggets.
It'd be pretty good. Yeah.
Buffy Foster. Hello. How's it going,
I don't see
guys?
it here, Edson.
Yes.
All I've got is it's in the northwest of England.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't see your face. It's like today's stream, Mr. Sparky.
For those that didn't catch it, Sparks today live on Twitch took his green screen live for the first time. And because he was unable to move around his entire studio there, he only had half green screen coverage. So every now and then, he'd go beyond that green screen, and it was a half Sparky.
Learning from experience, right?
Quite
gotta get used to it.
Yeah. It's like this bubble. It's small, you see. You got to keep your head contained within the bubble.
Yeah. So do you see the comments, Sparky?
But about it being in the north, not in the Midlands. Yes.
You have to apologize to the people of Liverpool. This is your time.
Look, I've been to Liverpool many, many times. I actually support the team, and I always thought it was North Midlands. It's middle of the country.
Yeah.
Fuck's sakes, the Midlands.
I hear you.
If you look at True Earth, Great Britain, it's in the central part, so it's central.
It's like saying Virginia's in the south. I hear you.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I hear you. So welcome back,
I stand
guys.
by my comment.
You hear that? He said he stands by his comment. Get your flame suit, bro. Munir, hi everyone. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Mr. Catalysis 101. Welcome aboard, guys. All right, so we've got a nice, interesting show today. It's to the point. There weren't lots of releases on the P3D FSX side. X-Plane was pretty strong, but that seems to be the case these days. It really does. So
It's just a new normal.
It's it's the new norm. Ron says, Kevin, is Chase Plane finished yet? And if not, when?
It's past V1 by now, right?
Yeah, it's been finished.
Am I not mistaken? It's not finished, though.
Maybe
There's
that's
still
a
few things they wanna
veiled
do with it.
question.
Maybe it is. I don't know. It's still like we got a lot going on. You guys don't see, but
That's from the.
know?
I think he's coming from
Not
the
much I can
X-plane
say.
camp.
nothing I can say
Look
at
at
this
that.
point.
You guys trying to squeeze the chase plane info out.
And just beware that
Zip.
Kevin, you posted up. There's an update coming tomorrow, so no downloading of liveries. The social aspect of it's going to be offline, is it?
Yeah, the community for
The community
starting
part.
on the 26th at midnight Zulu for about a day and a half max.
on.
We'll do some maintenance. So yeah, community features will be offline for now.
Good stuff.
Chase plane still works though.
It sure does. Speaking of things that are offline, our site has been a little bit up and down today thanks to our web hosts. So just a heads up to those that were screaming. I got the message. We're dealing with it as well. So we'll do the best that we can tonight. I did preload our tabs for the conversation pieces. So without further delay, yeah, let's get to the news. Sparky story. Here we go. Hey, the transition was smooth. All right, from the top. Avlasoft EFB coming to X-Plane soon. That should have included quotes. The desktop electronic flight bag by Avlasoft is coming to X-Plane very soon. Development on the upcoming X-Plane version of the EFB appeared to have begun after the release of version 2 for FSX and P3D in July of last year. Tell us a little bit about Avlasoft, Sparky. You do use this.
I use it constantly for my heavy flights. It is basically exactly what it says on the tin. It's an electronic flight bag. It's all the information you will ever need flying a heavy, or even GA. If you want to fly GA in it, you can do. I know Mr. B does. You got all your routes, your maps, frequencies. It integrates into VATSIM, AVIO, all the networks. So if you want your coverage areas, your frequencies, and who's online, who's offline, what tower's on, everything, every bit of information you could ever need is all in that one package.
Is it
And it's
pulling
coming
this
to-
data
and
from
it's-
the SIM?
It's from the SIM.
Or is it
There is a
Navigraph
database. There is a
integration
database. There is a Navigraph database, and there is got its own database.
Oh,
But it will pull relevant information from your SIM also. So it knows where your plane is, what altitude it is, what ground speed you could go in. What it will calculate your top of descent, your rate of descent. Anything you can think of, this thing will tell you that you need to do.
You know what?
It's
I think I
brilliant.
can
It's-
see the brew time for my coffee in here somewhere in this little spreadsheet.
Honestly,
Yeah, that's a lot of information.
I don't fly without it anymore. It's so good. It really is. And it's coming to X-Plane, and it's been so long waited for X-Plane integration.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been at least 2 years. At least 2 years since they said we're going to developing it for X-Plane. And it's finally on the horizon.
So how does this compare to, for example, a SimBrief, which is a free website that I find gives me just enough information to mimic real world paths.
SimBrief will, SimBrief. You create your flight plan with SimBrief, and this will pick it up instantly. It integrates straight into SimBrief.
Oh,
Pulls your flight plan straight out. Very, very good. They've thought of everything. If you use the Aerosoft flight planner, this will pull it straight in.
wow.
If you use SimBrief, it'll pull it straight in.
So
it uses all the networks.
is the tool also aware of your aircraft's position in the flight? And so, for example, it'll pop up stuff like the frequencies as you come to top of descent or whatever. I mean, is it aware of your actual flight from start to finish and starts to feed you
Yes.
the information you need when you need it?
Yep, there's a, if you look at the bottom of the screenshot here, there's a little like MMAP. It says there's a little tower with an
MVMP.
MMAP. Yeah, you click that on, and it will take you through each stage of your flight, from ground to takeoff to cruise, and then descent, and it will bring all the relevant maps up, all the relevant data automatically for you.
Wow.
It's
that's strong.
it's invaluable. It's invaluable.
Very powerful.
It really is.
Would you say that this is a tool for the casual simmer?
This is for the heavy flyer. Primarily, if you fly heavies, you want this program.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can use GA. It will, there's profiles for a Cessna 172 and light bizjet type aircraft. There's a whole bunch of profiles, aircraft profiles.
Yeah, I think like Buffy's saying in the chat, and if I'm not mistaken, Buffy loves GA. Says I've never used one of those, just SkyVector and my GTN 750, which I think is a great combination for GA flying. Yeah,
you could use this. You could use this. I mean, this SkyVector, it pretty much does the same thing. I mean, as you see, you got all your ground charts with all, so if you're on VATSIM and they say go down Charlie onto Delta, you've got your ground chart. You know where everything is. The only thing it doesn't have right at the moment, which is coming in an update, is the actual stop positions. So it'll say hold short of whatever. But trying to think of one off the top of my head,
and speaking
the
of
stop line.
Speaking of the stop positions and hold points and stuff, if you use this, is it safe to say that you would not use default ATC in sim?
No, you can use it. I've used default ATC.
And if you use default ATC, does it somehow read the path that ATC has told you to taxi to the runway? Does it somehow?
It will pull for the sim. Yes.
Wow.
Do you know when you use default ATC, it creates a flight plan,
right?
Doesn't it?
Right.
This will pull that flight plan.
That's nice.
So it's very good. It's all there.
Mr. Catalysis in the chat says there's less flight planning in the latest version of EFB because they recognize SimBrief and others do this. It's great. It's brilliant for seeing and editing your flight in visual terms.
Absolutely. But it's also, somebody else said up there, it's not cheap.
Right.
It's not cheap. But it's not subscriptionware. This is a one-off payment, and it's yours. So I would say it's a worthy investment. It's a worthy investment if you fly heavies. I think it was around about 30 quid, if I remember correctly.
One
Not
time.
bad.
That's not bad.
It's not cheap.
Yeah,
that's not expensive.
expensive.
That's super cheap.
Shit. I mean, when you think about it, FS Tramp, that's like $50 a year.
Yeah. It's a one-off payment, and now the X-Plane version. I don't know if there's going to be a separate payment to have that one as well. I'm hoping that if you already own the product, you'll get the X-Plane version as a
you own the product.
an upgrade. No, an upgrade fee, because obviously they're going to want to make money off it, right? So if it's an upgrade fee, you already own the Avalosoft EFB, you can upgrade to the X-Plane version as well for an extra $10, $15, whatever. That would be great. If I have to pay another $30 for it, I'm going to be a bit pissed.
Well, when you think about it, even $60 is kind of within the range of what I'd be ready to pay for that amount of feature.
Right. All right, good stuff. Thank you, Sparky. Great topic. I think
even Mr. B agrees with me, and I'm sure he's looking forward to an X-Plane version as well.
The Zebo's going to get lots of action.
Oh yeah.
All right, up next is mine. Quality Wings 787 PBR update for P3D V4. There we go. Soon. In quotes, Mr. Tarpoon says this might be good. Here's something to shorten your waiting time. Only a few more quirks need to be resolved before we're ready to release this rather extensive update for our ultimate 787. Enjoy. We've got a video.
Yeah, so we got some confirmation on the EFB. It's 45 Great British Pounds.
Yeah, not bad. Oh my.
Well, it's pretty.
So I have to say, of the heavies in my simulator, nothing performs as well as this one. It is the best performing heavy that I have in my sim, and one of the most beautiful.
So when you say performing, you mean in terms of simulator performance or aircraft performance?
Simulator performance.
Right.
I wouldn't know
Yeah, it's very
aircraft
good.
performance, but yeah, simulator performance. Oh my god, look at those crispy cones. It's the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
This is just, it's
When was
pure
the last
eye
time-
candy.
When was the last time you flew it, though, Edson?
That's
You're
the
gonna get
thing,
into your
Sparky.
truck, man.
That's the thing. So it's a heavy. I didn't think that I can do shorter hauls with this thing. However,
Of course
the
you
last
can.
time I flew to Houston, two coworkers flew on a 787 from SFO to Dallas
Yeah.
on a 787.
They'll do short hauls.
They do.
No problem.
They have to reposition the planes. So
The only thing you experience is like Norwegian going to the UK.
yeah.
So that's not a good benchmark.
No, because I'd never had the time to do a haul like that, like ever.
No.
I'm really looking forward to all these planes coming out with their PBR, though, because they do look stunning.
We'll have to play
They
that
do
again.
look
That's too pretty not to play again.
Yeah.
When you look at the original release of the 787 and where they're at right now, where they now have VC raindrops on the windscreen, you got
Yeah.
the real light thing in there, so the lighting is actually functional in the cockpit. You got PBR now, P3D support. Like that airplane changed a lot.
And
since
yes,
the release.
Buffy, wing flex as well.
Oh yeah, the mother of all wing flex.
Yes. When
You do actually see the wing go right up, and then you can't see out these windows.
yeah, exactly.
Over
So
the wing.
on the way to the UK, right? I did Oakland to Gatwick multiple times. I sat in one direction on the wing so that I could enjoy that wing flex rise, right? And then once it's up, man, you can't see anything out anymore. You're looking forward or back.
I
right?
did
'Cause
the
it's
same
just
thing.
wing,
I
right?
did the same thing when I
Yeah.
came to America.
And then the way back, I sit in front of the engine so that I can look back at it. See those crispy cones. So I look back at the engine, and oh man, it's so incredible. It's such an amazing plane. I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to spend more time in this. I know I fly the heck out of my 7.3, but it's time to step up to some more 787 flights. And we need a TSL livery. Then there's no excuse. I can fly from Oakland to San Francisco if I want. Who cares? It's
Oakland.
TSL's fuel.
Flying to Oakland.
Oakland to Oakland. I'm going up for pattern
Not
work.
San Francisco. Not San Francisco. Don't fly to San Francisco. Not
Going
if you
for
want those
pattern work,
frames.
eh? So good.
Wow. Looks really nice.
Yeah, more PBR coming, man. Like it's
Yeah.
back-to-back PBR updates.
When are we,
Milviz
when are we,
also.
when are we going to get companies like A2A and Carenado updating their planes to PBR? Come on, guys.
TFDI,
I don't know.
looking at you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Coronado's library. Do you know how much work that would be?
Hey, somebody, and you need one per team member. Eh? Yeah, that's your job. Go. And
They're
do
not
that.
even done with the V4 updates. And that's the big problem. That's the big problem right now is that we have companies that are just getting to the V4 updates. And now here we go talking about V5 and here we are with PBR. It's just
That's
this
the problem.
they're always
It's going to
behind.
Yeah.
And
It's going to
it
be a
makes
problem
you
because
think
the amount of time it takes to update their planes, like you got a full cycle of
Yeah.
simulator going
well,
through.
it makes you think that perhaps they don't have any kind of beta access or anything. Like it makes you think that it has the appearance, right? With the amount of time that it takes to update something, it makes you feel like they just don't know that it's coming until we know it's here.
Yeah, maybe.
Does the Alabeo Cessna 414 have... No, none of the Alabeo, none of the Coronado have touched PBR.
Now you would think their upcoming new planes that they're going to bring out will be PBR ready, right?
But it didn't either. Yeah, they just did that
But no.
C-170, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no PBR
Interesting.
there. All right. Like I said, it's swift today. The stories were light on the releases, but the updates are long. So here we go, Mr. Kevins. We said top 2, but we lied. It's actually a top 1 today. Airport to Sim, Amsterdam, now available to purchase. This one submitted by EM1973. So this is actually really interesting. Training video producer Airline to Sim has released their latest product line, Airport to Sim Amsterdam. The 6-part video course will teach you everything you need to know about moving around one of Europe's largest and most complex airports. Those words brought to you by our friends at FS Elite. So this is interesting to me. Kevin, I'll let your thoughts first.
Well, it's fairly simple, right? I think it's a brilliant idea, a super good idea for people who are really into this kind of thing. A lot of people try to replicate flights to be as real as possible, follow every single procedure they can find, try to be as accurate as possible. And this is, for the people who like to fly to Amsterdam, this is a gold mine. It's like a nugget of information where you can get everything you want, everything you need. And it's a very smart move from Airline to Sim. They used to do training videos for airplanes.
Right.
There's no good reason why you wouldn't make one for airports as well, especially with the add-ons that we have today.
And this is what's interesting, right? Is that you're going to be trained on approaches, arrivals, where to park, procedures on the ground, etc., 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 by an Airbus pilot that is based there.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, this guy gets up and reports to work from nearby here, because that's home airport, and flies out of there and into there super often. And that's going to be a lot of knowledge, like real-world knowledge.
It's a good airfield to start with as well because it is so big and it is hard to navigate. It really is. I mean, you get that remote runway that's out there. It takes you half an hour to get to the terminal, just taxiing. That one there.
Right.
Yeah.
From the chat, Mr. Keltalis says, a very, very small niche will buy this. I want to say yes, but at the same time, there's such a huge flight sim community that loves to do it real. They're just not as prominently known or seen as those that do it for entertainment. Does that make sense? Like there's so many more that aren't even worried about forums and streaming and this and that, that just sit in a garage and do it as real as they can.
you're going to have your old guard cockpit builders in their
Yeah.
real 737 cockpits trying to follow every procedure exactly as possible.
Yeah.
It will happen. There are those people out there. We know that. We've seen them at shows.
And the thing is, with training videos like this, you don't just learn about Amsterdam. You learn about what it is to approach an airport, to navigate an airport, like across the world, right? It's not strictly for Amsterdam. That's the cool part. For the price of it, what was it, $10?
Dude, that's
$10.
a deal.
$10.
For the amount of information that's in there and the quality of the video, damn, that's a steal. Absolutely.
$10. On top of that, they have. Oh, looks like we're having some bandwidth issues. $10. On top of that, they have customized their SODE and for SODE files for GSX. So you get a GSX profile for the airport as well, with lots of corrections, lots of updates to the correct parkings, etc., as well as they say they fired the marshaller, and you won't see the marshaller anywhere when you park, and they have added the parking system,
The safe dock.
the safe dock to each of the gates, so that you get a very accurate experience. That's pretty cool. That's an added value to take and modify a configuration for a piece of software that a lot of people use.
I do know a little something about this airfield, is that when you push back, you don't push back onto the line where you normally would, push all the way back onto the taxi line. You actually push back at an angle, and you push back at a 45-degree angle, and that's where you stop. You don't push, because you've got such a lot of traffic taxiing, you don't actually push back onto the taxi line. Did you know that?
I did not.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, this is just the GSX config file on its own is worth the $10 in my opinion. Didn't know that came with it. Pretty interesting to me.
Yeah. So, for example, this guy is gone. You're not going to see the marshaller anymore.
But the safe dock's there, though.
Yeah. So
you don't
that's what
need
they've done. Is that they've added safe dock to all the gates and gotten rid of the marshaller. So this is not the file. But
do you know what I'd really like is if you knocked the guy off the ladder and then he sued you.
Only in America. Only in the
only
US.
at the U.S. airports.
Yeah.
Mr. Crawley says, I wonder if there's a SafeGate robot that says that wasn't a very good parking included to replace the marshaller.
Dip it through the wing. Oh no.
So that's the kind of issues you can get, yeah.
Well, yeah, they're showing all of the things that they have fixed.
Right.
So it's a 10-minute video. It's a very long video that goes through all the things that they have reconfigured and fixed and stuff. So there you go. So that's the experience you'll get now, properly configured for the correct types of aircraft at the correct gates at the correct distances. A lot of work.
Yeah, that's just that video, 11-minute video is actually a good piece of content.
And there's the corrected distance. See?
Yeah.
So they were showing the marshaller will incorrectly park you. They've corrected that, and now you stop where it says, and it's where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Yeah,
Pretty
it's worth
cool,
$10 just for that. Yeah, just for that, as you said.
Yeah.
I feel like scenery developers should include those with their airport. By
Dude,
default.
no, you know what? I have thoughts. Scenery developers should just get it right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
let's be real.
absolutely.
Scenery developers should just simply get those stop points right. On top of that, parking naming conventions are horrendous across our developers. There should be a standard, right? Like, name your damn parking spots correctly.
You don't mean like military gate and ramp on every spot?
Yeah.
Some particular,
Exactly.
some developers do that. Yes.
Mr. Steve
The
Simmons,
thing
what's
is-
going on, guys?
The thing is, most times those developers do it because they try to overcome a limitation from the platform. Oftentimes that comes from FSX directly, and just Lockheed has not changed anything because no one asked them to change anything. But we end up with those all over the place, non-standards. And then when you try to make an add-on that takes that into account, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that they actually went through and they done all of those Sode gates, all of the reposition of the trucks and everything in GSX to bring that immersion better.
It's just,
that's great.
It's cool to see that business model. Like, it's weird to me a bit because I do feel that it is fairly niche, but it's a neat business model. I mean, overall, these guys are in the business of catering to those that want the realism, right? From their airplane training videos to now airport training videos, it makes sense. It makes sense. That is their market.
You're the odd one,
Yeah.
Edson.
I'm the odd one, I know. I look at EFB all crooked too, right? Like, yeah, I know. All right, on to our last topic. This one's submitted by Mr. Tomcat UK. Hybrid drives, your views and help appreciated. Sorry, requested. But Sparky, I believe
Yes.
you have some info on the hybrid drives, yeah?
Yes, I use hybrid drive for my simming system, and I wouldn't fault it.
No.
I would not fault it. I would go hybrid drive every time. Now, this is the thing. Now, I run X-Plane and I run P3D and I run DCS, etc., etc., etc. So I need a lot of space. Now, I could go out and buy myself a Barracuda 3 terabyte hard drive and throw that in. Barracudas are fast drives. They're good fast drives and run the sim off an SSD. But then I've got to mess around reassigning, or where my scenery folder is, etc., etc. It's a lot of mess, a lot of things. Whereas I can throw my X-Plane and my P3D on that SSD, on that hybrid drive. It intelligently will put the program on the SSD part of it and all of the scenery and everything else on the hard drive side of it. So you've got the storage with the speed of a hard drive, of an SSD. So it's the best of both worlds. And you don't have to mess around rearranging everything. So I'm all for them. I'm all for them.
So you mentioned the Barracuda Pros. That's what I use myself.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of going full SSD, and I know it's kind of popular in the sim world. People are like, "Oh, I need SSD. It's the fastest. I need SSD."
You don't have the storage.
I always preach against that because the bang for the buck isn't there. You're looking at smaller drives. SSDs additionally have a very fixed read write to them. They will die more frequently. The sizes of those SSD drives for what you pay, it's not an efficient purchase. I'm a fan of the hybrids. I personally went with the Barracuda Pros. They function like SSDs, but it's not an SSD at all. But you have to think about it, right? Like the sim folder continues to grow. More and more add-on developers are now allowing users to place sim objects and add-ons in other places on your system, but many of them still just shove it in the sim folder. So you want to have your sim folder on something that's going to grow. Something that gives you space, breathing room. And SSDs, pure SSDs, don't really do that.
No.
So
Mr. B
hybrids,
said,
all good.
They're good for your Windows.
Absolutely.
Windows, but not for storage.
Yeah. Kevin, what are you using yours?
I got sick at some point and I just went full SSD. Pure and simple. So what happens is I at some point I was not having enough storage, right? I was missing a bit of space and I couldn't find anything to delete because I keep all my pictures, I keep most of my files. So I went on the internet and did a few research. I ended up on a survey by Backblaze a few years ago that that rates reliability of hard drives.
Okay.
And versus the speed and a few metrics. And then I ended up buying four 1 terabyte Toshiba drives. Okay.
Okay.
And my plan was to rate
This already
zero.
sounds scary. I just want you to know that.
Yeah. Well, the
Okay.
Toshiba part was scary, and the RAID 0 part was scary as well. Because RAID 0, for people who don't know, is essentially you split up the data across all the drives so that they can read or write faster to them.
Right.
But the disadvantage of this is if one drive fail, you lose everything, right?
Gone.
So after losing everything, I got really, really mad. And I just went to Canada Computers down the street, and I was like, "Give me 4 1 terabyte SSDs. I don't want a cheap one. I want the Samsung one, the top of the line, faster one,
The best of the best. The Evos, yeah? Evos, I think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Evos. I don't remember exactly what number, but
Yeah.
so I got that. I did RAID 0 them. So I got 4 terabytes of SSD in RAID 0. It has been super reliable. I have my OS, I have my SIM on that, and I have 3 Toshiba drives that I use for archiving. It's blazing. I don't see myself changing that setup anytime soon. And if one of them fails, I'm buying a new one. I'm buying another SSD because that setup has been so perfect for me for the past 2 years. And I got everything backed up, obviously, backed up outside of the house.
Right.
So if anything happens, I got access to that. But yeah.
Yeah, I
Pretty
use
good,
a
pretty good
service.
so far.
I use a service, Backblaze, backblaze.com. Flat fee, multiple machines in your house, all backed up in the cloud. What's cool about it is that, number one, it's very, very cost efficient. The client is fantastic. And the coolest part about it is if you happen to lose, let's just say 8 terabytes of data, there's a service that they provide where you can either mail them a drive or buy an 8 terabyte drive from them or whatever, and they'll write the data and basically just mail you the drive, cutting down any download time for restoring your data, etc. It's very, very cool service. It's called Backblaze. But it's interesting. So we have myself, who uses the Barracuda Pro, Sparky, who uses the hybrid, and Kevin, which uses a rated setup of SSDs.
The read rate is absolutely
Okay.
insane,
Let's work this out. Let's work this out. Kevin, very expensive method of doing it.
Yeah.
Edson, probably the safest way of doing it.
Yeah.
Sparky, the cheapest way of doing it.
Yes.
That sums it up perfectly. Absolutely perfect. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Worth Mentioning. While we go down this list, it's a fairly short one this week. Why don't you take a moment to go through your own minds out there in Chatland, and feel free to type in a topic in the chat. If something jumps out at us, we'll jump on it after we get through Worth Mentioning. Sound good? All right, here we go. X-Plane 11 Sia Marchetti SF260D Advanced Rain Effects Update, now live. X-Organizer version 2.0 released. This is for X-Plane. Lets you manage your scenery library. You like it, yes,
Actually
Sparky?
functional.
I don't use it. No, Mr. Buckles uses it,
Mr. Buck uses it,
and
yeah.
Steve uses it. I don't use it. I manually manipulate the files myself.
Gotcha.
Oh my god, it's much better now. Okay, never mind.
Samsung 3D Singapore City WoW released for P3D. So if you'll recall, 2 episodes back, we talked about Samsung 3D's Singapore City and showed some previews. It's pretty amazing. If you fly in that area, you'll want to check that out for sure. The Coronado Saab 340 coming to X-Plane. Real World Scenery releases Ultimate VFR New York State Part 3. X-Plane RTX, better than AMD Radeon. That's a cool story for those of you that might be in the market for a new video card right about now. There's a lot of hype about the RTX stuff, and there's a lot of hype about the new ATI cards as well. Sorry, the AMD cards as well. I know, right?
Welcome to 1998.
Right, the AMD cards as well. And you'll want to check this out for sure. It's a great little article. Nimbus Simulation Studios updates Chicago O'Hare to V3. This for X-Plane as well. Hi-Fi SimTech releases Active Sky XP SP1 release candidate 2. Old Warden for X-Plane 11 coming soon from our friends at Orbex.
It's out already.
It's out already. Out this week. Points of interest map for True Earth Washington now available. For those interested in scooping up the Washington region of True Earth, they're starting to put out there the points of interest map and also taking requests. So if you happen to live in that area or know of cool things in that area, now's the time to go say, oh my goodness, please put this into my sim. The Douglas DC-8 32-bit for FSX updated to version 2. The Just Flight Avro Vulcan gets an overview and tutorial from Just Flight. Fantastic and much needed because that plane is fairly complex. Vertical Simulations releases a new Corpus Christi preview. Update for the 310R for X-Plane. That's from our friends at Milviz. And last but not least, new Milviz ATR 72 PBR preview. The PBR is coming to some Milviz birds as well.
Here's the thing with the ATR 72. Even before Lockheed announced the PBR update, we've seen pictures of that ATR.
That really looked like PBR.
It really did look like PBR, so it's kind of a confirmation that they have been working on PBR.
Yeah.
Really glad about that. Very happy.
Albert says, thanks for mentioning my tributes. Absolutely, sir. We're very thankful for each and every one of you that submit topics every week. Ladies, gentlemen, once again, here at On Approach, we are not commercially supported. We are fully user supported. I'm happy to announce that our patron goal has been met for the transfer over from GameWisp over to the Patreon platform. So we leveled out where we were. It was a rough transition a bit because it was fairly abrupt since GameWisp closed down. And with that change, we lost a few patrons just simply because they faded out into the universe. But we're glad to be back at that number once again. Contributions to this podcast in the form of stories mean a whole lot. So please keep the stories coming. Head over to the skylounge.tv or even onapproach.tv and submit your stories for next week. These have all been submitted by viewers like you. So keep them coming, please. And thank you again, everybody, for another great show. This has been episode 88 of On Approach.
We got any stories? We got any stories in the chat?
Nothing been tossed out. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll catch you next week. Sky 5.